then when I put the real screws in, I'm not struggling and messing up the heads trying to get the thing in there. It just goes in like it should. I took some long Phillips bits and ground the shank down right here, so it's skinny, so when it goes in that rubber it's not bulging it out. That oil that I put on that rubber lets that screw head go through without tearing it up. You want to make sure that these things are kind of in the middle, centered in that hole, where they're comfortable before you tighten it and torque it down. Now you give it the light test. Put a good bright light on the other side of this and not coming over the top of it, and you look through there and see if you can see a crack anywhere. That's very good. Now I'm going to dress off the sides of this with a high-speed sand disc. Alright, I made this jig years ago. I heard about one that had some sort of a wheel that had rubber and abrasive in it, and you could actually polish the rubber off the butt pad and it wouldn't hurt the finish on the stock. I don't think that was the truth. I did contact Hockmeyer one time and Kickies and asked them if they had any kind of jig to buff this off in line with the gun itself, and they said no, and didn't really act like they were very interested in discovering one. So I made this thing. These two little pieces of wood are in line with the sand disc, and I can scoot these over and I can change the pitch on them. I can move this one this way or this way to change the pitch at that angle, but right now it's just flat, and I can move this disc this way and this way, but I've got it set to where this might be 4 or 5 thousandths recessed, and these might be protruding proud a little bit, so it keeps me from grinding off my wood. Now if this is finished, which this is not, I'm refinishing this Winchester, but if this was finished, and I do put them on finished stocks, I'll take a piece of tape, two layers of tape, and go around on the wood to where when I get to sanding, if I hit that first layer of tape, I know I'm done. And it's one of the scariest things in stock making for me is putting on pads, because if you scratch it, you're in for a lot of repair. Sometimes you have to completely refinish one. A guy brought me one that he had done that too, and there was just no touching it up. You had to refinish it. Now I had to take this front fence off because of this cheek piece. The front fence was riding right in there on that cheek piece, and cheek piece was throwing it out of, it was throwing it heavy on this side, pushing this side in and putting the wrong angle on it. So I had to just guess it in line with this fence here, and it worked. It's good. Alright, that pad has been changed in about an hour. Now I got to pull it back off to do my finishing. I've got it stripped, sanded, cleaned, new pad, and I'm going to start putting my permalin on it. This stock is about the same color that it was when I started working with it. It's been stained, but I'm not going to stain it this time because the stain is already in there and I didn't take enough of it out to make a difference. And another thing is these maple caps, you got a 4-end cap and a grip cap. If I start staining, these things are not going to be near as pretty and bright as they are now. What I usually do is bring my stain just right to the edge of them, but this has already got stain in it, and it is a really, really pretty piece of burl. It's a nice crotch walnut stock, and it's going to really sparkle. So I'm going to blow the dust off of it and put some spray on it. This stuff has the viscosity of water. Very, very, very thin. That's why it soaks in so well. So I spin it around and around for like a rotisserie for a few minutes. Now on a refinishing, even if you use stripper, which is supposed to cut all the oil and grease and stuff out, sometimes because guns sometimes come in contact with silicone. People use silicone rags and oils, and silicone is of the devil, really. I mean, it's just hard to get out. It's from the pit and smells like smoke, and when it gets in, it's really, really, really tough to get silicone to come out of there. Even though you strip it, even though you sand it, even though you bathe it with acetone or lacquer thinner, then you wipe it down with mineral spirits, and all this stuff that we do to try to get silicone out of our way, you'll still find it. Now this one seems to be okay. I don't see any spots, but if you get a spot of silicone in there, it'll make something called fisheye. And fisheye, it just looks like a fisheye. It's just a round circle with a little bitty round hole in it. And it's tough to get rid of. But now there's some additive. There's some fisheye killer. Company in South Dakota called Van Dyke's used to carry fisheye killer. I don't know if they still do. Automotive paint shops will have fisheye killer because they deal with silicones all the time in waxes and stuff when they're repainting cars. So if you get if you get a spot or two of fisheye in a refinishing job, it's not the end of the world. When you put the next coat on, you put you some fisheye killer in your spray or in your finish, and it'll lay out flat. Now you got to sand that fisheye out of there because it'll have a little round spot like a target, and it'll dry that way, and that's fine. You just take a straight block and go over it with some 400 or something. And this little piece of burl, this little piece of maple on the fore end is just gorgeous. That's some really, really pretty figure. It's going to sparkle when it's done. So anyway, that's the first coat I'm putting on this Winchester. When the grain, you can see how open the grain is with a close-up view of this. If I can find you a spot or two where it shows up. Yeah, you can see the openness of the grain. Look in the reflection of that light bulb right there, and you can see how open that grain is. With each coat, that grain gets more and more filled, and it will eventually get filled completely up. And that may take 10, 12, 15 coats. I don't care. I mean, I don't count. I just do it till it's done. But this one's really, whoever built this thing did a jam-up job. It's a little skinny right there. To me, it's a little bit thin. I wouldn't want to try to beat a black bear away with it, but it's held up to it for all these years, and I think this is an 06, so it's got enough punch to it. But if you, just as an aside, if you ever need to beef one up right in here, that's where they always break, right in the wrist. What you can do is drill a hole, come inside here and drill a hole straight down to where it goes down into that wrist, and you're drilling in here where it won't be seen. Now you got to get it past that bolt hole, because there's a hole right there you got to get a bolt through. So you got to go in. This is not a good idea with it wet, but you got to go in here and go down on an angle, and then you got to start your reinforcement rod past that bolt hole. But I have repaired them that broke right there, and I've also beefed them up before they broke in ones that I made 338s and big stuff, 35 wheelings and things like that. They have they kick like a six-legged mule. You don't want to just leave that to chance, because sooner or later the thing's going to crack, and so that can be reinforced. You just drill a hole and then fill that hole up with epoxy and take a piece of threaded, all thread stainless, like a 1/4 inch stainless all thread. Run your piece in there about down to here. When you get out of the danger zone, you know, you're clear once you beef that thing up. Over and out. Well, thanks for choosing to spend your time here with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this program. I'll try to post a new segment each weekend. In addition, if you'd like to read about a stock that I made and then it took a 20-foot free fall, click on the link at the bottom of this page. It's called The Broken Gun. It's a story I wrote a few years ago about my two boys. Sometimes life's hard and things get broken. Now and then we get a chance to fix them. I'm so grateful for the opportunity I had to repair this broken stock. It led to a restoration that I never could have imagined. As always, if you like this video, please click the like button and share this with your friends. Have a great day.